Before you close your eyes tonight, let me tell you a gentle story of a quiet village nestled between whispering hills, where the evenings wrap around you like a soft blanket, and the stars above seem to hum a lullaby just for you. In this village lived a woman named Elara, with hair like autumn leaves and eyes that held the quiet depth of twilight skies. She had spent her days tending to a small garden behind her cottage, where flowers bloomed in colors that shifted with the light, and the earth felt warm beneath her fingers. But as night fell, Elara often found herself wandering the edges of the village, drawn by a soft glow that flickered from the nearby woods, a light that promised something peaceful, something forgotten in the busyness of life. The woods were ancient, their trees standing tall like wise guardians, their branches weaving a canopy that filtered the moonlight into silver threads. Elara had heard stories from her grandmother about these woods, tales of a hidden glade where time moved slower, where worries dissolved like mist in the morning sun. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of lavender and rose, Elara felt a gentle pull in her heart. She slipped on her soft woolen shawl, the one embroidered with tiny stars, and stepped onto the path that led into the trees. The air was cool and sweet, carrying the scent of pine and wildflowers, and with each step her breaths grew deeper, slower, as if the forest itself was inviting her to unwind. As she walked, the path softened under her feet, covered in a carpet of fallen leaves that rustled faintly like a distant memory. Birds sang their evening songs, soft and melodic, guiding her deeper. Elara noticed how the light changed, becoming warmer, more golden even as the day faded. She paused by a small stream, its water trickling over smooth stones, creating a rhythm that matched the beat of her heart. Dipping her fingers into the cool flow, she felt a subtle warmth spread through her, easing the day's lingering thoughts. The stream seemed to whisper secrets, tales of travelers who had found solace here, and Elara smiled softly, feeling a sense of belonging wrap around her. Further along, the trees parted slightly, revealing a meadow dotted with glowing flowers that pulsed gently with an inner light. These were the lumen blooms, her grandmother had called them, flowers that absorbed the day's worries and released them as soft luminescence. Elara knelt beside one, its petals velvety and warm to the touch. As she breathed in its subtle fragrance, a mix of vanilla and honey, she felt her shoulders relax, her mind quieting like a lake at dawn. The flower seemed to respond, its glow brightening just a touch, as if acknowledging her presence with kindness. In this meadow, Elara sat for a while, letting the evening envelop her. The sky above was a deep indigo now, stars beginning to peek through the branches. She thought of her cottage, cozy and waiting, but here, in the woods, time felt expansive, unhurried. A gentle breeze stirred the leaves, carrying with it the faint sound of distant chimes, perhaps from wind bells hung by unseen hands. Elara listened, her breaths sinking with the rustle, and in that harmony she found a deeper calm. The path wound on, leading her to a soft hillside overlooking the village below, lights twinkling like fallen stars. From here, everything seemed small and manageable, worries fading into the distance. Elara sat on the grass, soft as a pillow, and watched as fireflies danced around her, their lights syncing with her heartbeat. Each flicker brought a memory of joy, gentle and unbidden, filling her with warmth. The end night air was perfect, neither too cool nor warm, cradling her like a loved one's embrace. As the moon rose higher, casting a silver glow over the landscape, Elara felt ready to venture further. The woods held more secrets, she knew, gentle magics that soothed the soul. With a soft sigh of contentment, she stood and followed the path deeper, where the trees grew taller, their canopies forming a natural cathedral of peace. Here the air hummed with a subtle energy, inviting her to let go, to drift into the story unfolding around her. The path deepened into the heart of the woods, where the trees stood closer, their branches interlacing like fingers in prayer, creating pockets of shadow and light that danced softly on the ground. Elara walked with unhurried steps, each one sinking into the mossy earth that cushioned her like a dream. The air grew richer, infused with the scent of blooming night jasmine, its petals unfurling under the moon's gentle gaze, releasing a fragrance that wrapped around her thoughts, softening their edges until they floated away like leaves on a calm stream. Ahead, a faint glow emerged, drawing her forward with a quiet promise. It was a grove of whispering willows, their long branches swaying in a breeze that seemed to come from nowhere, brushing against one another with sighs that sounded like shared secrets. Elara stepped into the grove, feeling the willow's leaves trail across her arms, light as feathers, each touch easing a hidden tension she hadn't known she carried. She paused beneath the largest willow, its trunk smooth and inviting, and rested her hand against it. The tree seemed to breathe with her, its rhythm slow and steady, guiding her own breaths to match, deeper, more peaceful. In the center of the grove lay a small pond, its surface still as glass, reflecting the stars above in perfect clarity. Elara knelt by the edge, gazing into the water, where tiny fish glided silently, their scales shimmering with soft iridescence. The pond's water was warm to the touch, and as she dipped her fingers in, ripples spread out in lazy circles, carrying away the remnants of the day. She watched them fade, feeling her mind mirror the calm, thoughts settling like sediment to the bottom, leaving only clarity. A soft rustle drew her attention to a family of rabbits emerging from the underbrush, their fur soft and white, eyes bright with gentle curiosity. They hopped closer, unafraid, and one nuzzled against her knee, its warmth seeping through her dress. Elara smiled, stroking its back with careful fingers, feeling the simple joy of connection in this hidden place. The rabbits gathered around, forming a circle of quiet companionship, their presence a reminder that she was not alone, that the woods held friends in every shadow. As she sat there, the willows began to hum a faint melody, their leaves vibrating in harmony with the night. It was the soft magic of the grove, a lullaby woven from nature itself, designed to cradle weary souls. Elara closed her eyes, letting the sound wash over her, each note easing her deeper into relaxation. Memories of childhood evenings surfaced gently, times spent under similar trees with her grandmother, listening to stories that made the world feel safe and wondrous. When she opened her eyes, the moon had shifted, casting a pathway of light across the pond. Elara rose slowly, her body feeling lighter, and followed the illuminated trail out of the grove. The path led her to a field of lavender, the flowers swaying in unison, their purple hues glowing softly under the starlight. She walked through them, the stems brushing her legs, releasing bursts of calming scent that filled her lungs with peace. Each breath in was a gift, each exhale a release, and Elara felt her heart slow to the rhythm of the night. Deeper still, the woods opened to a cluster of ancient stones, arranged in a circle that hummed with subtle energy. Elara stepped inside, feeling a warm embrace from the air itself, as if the stones were guardians of rest. She sat on the soft grass in the center, leaning back to watch the stars wheel slowly above. The stones seemed to whisper affirmations, words of comfort that echoed in her mind, reminding her of her own strength and the beauty of quiet moments. As the night progressed, Elara felt a gentle urge to continue, the woods calling her onward with promises of more serenity. She stood, her steps even softer now, and ventured further, where the trees gave way to a misty valley, the fog rolling in like a soft blanket, inviting her to lose herself in its embrace. The mist was warm, scented with herbs, and as it touched her skin, it soothed away any lingering unease, leaving only contentment. In the center of this valley, fireflies gathered in swarms, their lights pulsing in slow patterns that mimicked breathing. Elara watched them, her own breath sinking, in and out, slow and deep. The display was mesmerizing, a dance of light that filled her with wonder, reminding her of the magic in everyday miracles. The misty valley unfolded before Elara like a dream half remembered, its soft fog curling around her ankles, warm and inviting, as if the earth itself was exhaling a sigh of relief. She walked through it slowly, each step revealing more of the landscape, hills dotted with sleeping wildflowers that nodded in the gentle breeze. The air was thick with the scent of chamomile and mint, herbs that grew wild here, their leaves brushing against her as she passed, releasing essences that calmed her mind further, like a herbal tea sipped by a fireside. At the valley's heart lay a hidden spring, its waters bubbling up from deep within the ground, clear and sparkling under the moonlight. Elara approached, drawn by the soft gurgle that sounded like laughter muffled by pillows. She cupped her hands and drank from it, the water cool and sweet, filling her with a refreshing peace that spread from her core outward, easing every muscle, every thought. The spring seemed alive, its flow adjusting to her presence, slowing to match her heartbeat, inviting her to linger. Around the spring grew vines of glowing berries, soft blue orbs that pulsed faintly, emitting a light that warmed without blinding. Elara picked one gently, feeling its velvety skin, and as she held it, a subtle magic stirred, a vision of tranquil seas and distant shores, places of rest she had only imagined. The berry's glow intensified slightly, sharing its calm with her, and she placed it back, grateful for the gift. A soft cooing drew her gaze to a nest of doves perched nearby, their feathers iridescent in the mist. One fluttered down, landing on her shoulder with weightless grace, its eyes meeting hers in a moment of shared serenity. Elara stroked its wing, feeling the softness, and the dove cooed again, a sound that resonated deep within her, loosening knots of worry she hadn't noticed. The other doves joined in, their chorus a gentle symphony that filled the valley, wrapping her in auditory comfort. As she sat by the spring, the mist thickened slightly, creating a cocoon of privacy where the outside world felt far away, unimportant. Elara leaned back against a moss-covered rock, its surface plush and warm, and let her eyes drift closed. In this space, dreams began to weave themselves, soft threads of possibility that didn't demand attention but offered solace. She saw herself in a garden of eternal bloom, flowers opening at her touch, each petal a promise of peace. When she opened her eyes, the doves had settled around her, their presence a living blanket of warmth. The spring's waters reflected the stars now, a mirror to the heavens, and Elara gazed into it, seeing not just her reflection, but a deeper self, calm and untroubled. The valley seemed to breathe with her, inhales of mist drawing in, exhales releasing it, a rhythm that lulled her further.
Rising gently, Elara followed a new path that emerged from the mist, leading upward to a plateau where the fog cleared, revealing a vista of rolling hills under the night sky. Here, the wind was softer, carrying whispers of ancient songs, melodies that spoke of rest and renewal. She walked along the edge, feeling the earth's solidity beneath her, a grounding force that anchored her serenity. On the plateau stood a circle of blooming trees, their blossoms pink and white, petals falling like snow in slow motion. Elara stepped beneath one, catching a petal in her palm, its touch silky and cool. The trees exuded a faint aroma of almond and vanilla, scents that evoked memories of cozy kitchens and warm hugs. She lingered, letting the petals accumulate around her, a carpet of softness. As the night wore on, a family of foxes appeared, their fur red gold in the moonlight, eyes gleaming with gentle intelligence. They circled her playfully but calmly, inviting her to join their quiet game of shadows. Elara laughed softly, the sound blending with the wind, and followed them briefly, her steps light and free. The path from the plateau descended into a woodland glade where luminescent mushrooms dotted the ground, their caps glowing in soft pastels. Elara knelt to touch one, feeling its spongy texture, and the mushroom responded with a faint chime, a sound that echoed peace through her bones. The glade of luminescent mushrooms extended into a labyrinth of soft light, where each fungus cast a gentle halo, illuminating the path ahead without harshness, guiding Elara with whispers of color. She wandered through, her fingers trailing over the caps, each touch releasing a puff of sparkling spores that danced in the air like tiny stars, settling on her skin with a tingling warmth that soothed her from the outside in. The ground was a tapestry of moss and ferns, cushioning her feet, making every step feel like walking on clouds. Deeper in the labyrinth, a small waterfall cascaded into a pool, its water glowing from the mushroom's reflection, creating a basin of liquid light. Elara sat on the edge, dipping her toes in, feeling the water's embrace, cool yet comforting, washing away the last traces of daytime fatigue. The waterfall's murmur was a constant, rhythmic hush, like a mother's lullaby, inviting her to release, to float in the moment. Butterflies with wings of translucent silk fluttered around the pool, their patterns shifting in the light, drawing lazy arcs that mesmerized. One landed on her hand, its antennae quivering gently, sharing a silent communion that filled Elara with quiet joy. The others joined, forming a living canopy above her, their wings fanning soft breezes scented with nectar. As she rested there, the air filled with the faint chime of hidden bells, perhaps from flowers that bloomed only at night, their petals ringing softly in the wind. Elara listened, her body relaxing further, muscles unwinding like threads from a spool. Memories of peaceful afternoons surfaced, times spent in similar quiet, where the world slowed to match her pace. Rising with ease, Elara followed the stream from the pool, its banks lined with sleeping lilies that nodded in dreams. The path led to a hollow in an ancient tree, large enough to step inside, its interior lined with soft bark and glowing vines. She entered, feeling the tree's embrace, warm and protective, like a natural cradle. Inside, the space hummed with life, tiny insects glowing like embers, creating a constellation within. Leaning against the wall, Elara felt the tree's pulse, slow and reassuring, syncing with her own. It shared stories through vibrations, tales of seasons past in tranquility, reminding her that change came gently, like leaves turning in autumn. She stayed there, wrapped in the hollow's safety, until a soft light beckoned her onward. Outside, the labyrinth opened to a meadow of starflowers, blooms that mirrored the sky above, petals twinkling with captured starlight. Elara lay down among them, the grass cool and inviting, staring up at the heavens duplicated below. The flowers seemed to breathe with her, their lights pulsing in harmony, lulling her thoughts into stillness. A gentle owl perched nearby, its eyes wise and kind, hooting softly in a melody that wove through the night. It watched over her, a sentinel of peace, and Elara felt protected, her worries dissolving into the ether. The meadow's energy was restorative, filling her with subtle magic that mended the soul's quiet aches. As dawn's first hint lingered far off, Elara arose, her spirit refreshed, and continued along a path lined with whispering reeds, their stems swaying in unison, creating a corridor of sound that was both music and silence. The reeds parted to reveal a serene lake, its surface undisturbed, reflecting the moon like a silver coin. By the lake, swans glided silently, their necks arched in grace, inviting Elara to sit and watch. She did, feeling the lakeside sand soft beneath her, and as the swans circled, they created ripples that lapped at the shore, each wave a caress of calm. The scene was timeless, a pocket of eternity where time held no sway. Elara closed her eyes briefly, letting the lake's essence seep in, and when she opened them, a soft fog rolled over the water, blending sky and lake into one. She felt complete in this moment, ready for what lay ahead in the wood's deeper embraces.
The lake's fog lifted gradually, revealing a bridge of vines arching over a narrow part of the water. Its structure woven by nature's patient hands, sturdy yet flexible, inviting Elara to cross with trust. She stepped onto it, feeling the gentle sway, each movement syncing with the lake's breath, carrying her to the other side where the woods thickened into a realm of ancient ferns and towering cedars. The air here was crisp with the scent of resin, warming her lungs, easing her into a deeper state of repose. On the far bank, a cluster of crystal formations rose from the ground, clear quartz points that caught the moonlight, refracting it into rainbows that danced softly on the leaves. Elara touched one, its surface smooth and cool, and felt a vibration travel up her arm, a subtle energy that aligned her thoughts, clearing away mental fog like sunlight through clouds. The crystals hummed faintly, a chorus of peace that resonated in her chest. Nearby, a herd of gentle deer grazed, their antlers adorned with vines, eyes reflecting the crystal's glow. One approached, bowing its head, allowing Elara to stroke its neck, the fur soft as down. The connection was wordless, a sharing of calm that filled her with gratitude. The deer led her to a shaded alcove where wild berries grew in abundance, their juices sweet and restorative. Picking a few, Elara savored the flavor, each bite a burst of nature's kindness, nourishing her body and spirit. The alcove was a haven, walls of ferns creating privacy, the ground padded with pine needles that released their aroma underfoot. She sat, leaning against a cedar,
feeling its bark's texture, rough yet comforting, like an old friend's hand. As she rested, the wind carried seeds from dandelions, fluffy orbs floating lazily, each one a wish granted in silence. Elara watched them drift, her own wishes forming gently, for peace, for rest, and felt them take flight, lightening her heart. The woods responded, branches rustling in approval, a natural affirmation. Venturing further, the path led to a canyon of soft stone, walls etched with glowing runes that told stories of harmony. Elara traced one with her finger, feeling the stone warm, sharing visions of tranquil rivers and blooming valleys. The canyon's echo was muted, sounds softened to whispers, creating an amphitheater of calm. In the canyon's depths, a warm spring bubbled, steam rising in lazy curls, scented with minerals. Elara soaked her feet, the heat seeping in, relaxing muscles she hadn't realized were tense. The steam enveloped her, a misty hug that blurred the edges of reality, inviting dreams to surface softly. Birds with plumage of sunset colors perched on the ledges, singing melodies that wove through the steam, each note a thread of serenity. Elara listened, her breaths deepening, syncing with the song, feeling her mind expand into vast, peaceful spaces. Leaving the canyon, the terrain rose to a hilltop grove where apple trees bore fruit year-round, their branches heavy with ripe orbs. Elara plucked one, its skin crisp, juice sweet, a taste of eternal summer. The grove was bathed in a perpetual twilight glow, time suspended in comfort. Squirrels chattered softly from the branches, sharing nuts, their antics gentle and endearing. Elara joined them in spirit, feeling the joy of simple pleasures, her laughter a soft echo in the air. As the night held its breath, Elara felt the wood's magic deepen, leading her to a field of poppies, their petals closed in sleep, dreaming of dawn. She lay among them, the ground soft, and let their subtle scent lull her, preparing for further journeys into peace. The poppy field sloped downward into a valley of velvet grass, where the blades swayed in unison, creating waves of green that mimicked a calm sea under the moon. Elara walked through, the grass tickling her calves, each brush a gentle reminder of the earth's tenderness. The valley was alive with subtle sounds, crickets chirping in slow rhythm, frogs crooning from hidden ponds, all blending into a symphony designed for rest. At the valley's center stood a pavilion of living vines, twisted into arches and seats, blooming with night-scented stalk that filled the air with sweetness. Elara entered, sitting on a vine-woven bench, feeling its flexibility mold to her form, cradling her like a hammock. The pavilion seemed to breathe, vines shifting slightly, adjusting for comfort, a living sanctuary. Fireflies congregated here, their lights forming patterns that told stories in glow, scenes of peaceful villages and serene landscapes. Elara watched, mesmerized, each flash a spark of wonder that warmed her soul without overwhelming. The display invited reflection, gentle thoughts of gratitude floating to the surface. A soft rain began, not heavy but mist-like, droplets warm and sparse, cleansing the air further. Elara tilted her head back, letting them kiss her skin, each one a drop of renewal. The rain pattered on the vines, creating a rhythmic drum that lulled her deeper. As the mist cleared, a unicorn approached, its coat shimmering silver, horn aglow with soft light. It knelt beside her, inviting touch, and Elara stroked its mane, silkier than imagined, feeling a wave of pure peace flow through her. The unicorn shared visions of endless meadows, places where worries never took root. Leaving the pavilion with renewed lightness, Elara followed a brook that sang softly, its waters clear over pebble beds. She walked alongside, occasionally dipping her hand in, feeling the current's gentle pull, mirroring the flow of time in this enchanted place. The brook led to a waterfall cave, curtains of water parting like veils, revealing a chamber lit by phosphorescent walls. Inside, the air was humid and warm, echoes muffled to whispers. Elara sat on a stone smoothed by ages, listening to the water's hush, feeling it wash over her spirit. Crystals embedded in the walls pulsed, emitting colors that shifted slowly, lavender to blue, each hue evoking calm emotions. Elara meditated there, her breaths long and even, mind clearing like the cave's pure air. Emerging refreshed, the path ascended to a ridge where eagles nested, their forms majestic yet serene, eyes watching with wisdom. One circled above, its shadow a protective wing over Elara, guiding her onward. The ridge overlooked a forest of birch trees, bark white and smooth, leaves whispering secrets. Elara descended, touching each trunk, feeling their coolness, a grounding contrast to the night's warmth. In the birch forest, owls hooted softly, sharing knowledge of the wood's deeper paths. Elara listened, her steps guided, leading to a glade where moonflowers bloomed, petals unfurling to capture lunar essence. She lay in the glade, surrounded by the flowers' glow, feeling their magic infuse her with dreams of tranquility, preparing her for the wood's final gifts. The moonflower glade transitioned into a woodland of elder trees, their branches heavy with berries that glowed faintly, offering nourishment for body and soul. Elara picked a cluster, tasting their tart sweetness, each berry a burst of vitality that flowed through her veins, enhancing the calm she carried. The trees stood as elders indeed, their presence wise and reassuring, leaves rustling advice in the breeze, to let go, to embrace the now. A path of luminous pebbles led from the elders to a sacred grove, encircled by standing stones veiled in ivy. Elara entered the circle, feeling a shift in the air, a thickening of peace that enveloped her like a shawl. The stones hummed low, vibrations grounding her, connecting her to the earth's core rhythm. In the grove's center bloomed a single rose bush, petals eternal, shifting colors from pink to gold. Elara approached, inhaling its fragrance, a blend of rose and sandalwood that filled her with loving warmth. The rose shared its essence, a soft magic that healed emotional whispers. Butterflies of light danced around the bush, their wings ethereal, brushing Elara with sparks of joy. She extended her hand and they alighted, their touch weightless, infusing her with lightness. As she sat within the circle, the stars seemed closer, twinkling messages of hope. Elara gazed upward, feeling the universe's vastness as a comforting blanket, not overwhelming, but embracing. A gentle stag appeared, antlers crowned with flowers, eyes deep with understanding. It lay beside her, its warmth shared, a companion in silence that spoke volumes of solidarity. Rising together, they walked to a riverbank, the water flowing slowly, surface like silk. Elara waded in shallowly, the current massaging her feet, carrying away invisible burdens. The river bent to a delta of small islands, each a haven of unique flora. Elara crossed to one, finding orchids that sang faint tunes when touched, melodies of serenity. On the island, a nest of swans rested, feathers soft as clouds. One offered a feather, which Elara held, feeling its magic, a talisman of grace. Leaving the delta, the path climbed to a vista point, overlooking the wood's expanse, lights twinkling like jewels. Elara breathed in the view, feeling expansive peace. Descending, she entered a thicket of holly, berries red and inviting, leaves glossy. The thicket parted to a cozy den, earth-walled and warm, inviting rest. Inside, soft furs lined the floor, and Elara lay down briefly, feeling the den's protection, a womb of safety. Continuing, the woods revealed a field of heather, purple waves under the moon, scent calming. She walked through, petals clinging gently, a floral embrace.
The heather field gave way to a labyrinth of hedges, trimmed by wind into gentle mazes, walls blooming with honeysuckle that dripped nectar, sweet on the tongue. Elara navigated slowly, each turn revealing pockets of beauty, a bench of stone, a fountain trickling. The hedges whispered directions, guiding her with rustles, ensuring no confusion, only discovery. At the labyrinth's heart lay a gazebo of crystal and wood, roof open to the stars, floor carpeted in petals. Elara entered, sitting on cushions of moss, feeling the structure's harmony resonate. The gazebo amplified the night's sounds, blending them into a lullaby. Lanterns of firefly light hung from beams, glowing warmly, casting shadows that danced softly. Elara watched, her mind drifting in pleasant voids, thoughts unanchored. A chorus of nightingales perched on the gazebo, singing ballads of love and peace, voices velvet. Their song wrapped Elara, evoking tender emotions, tears of joy unshed. As the song faded, a phoenix of soft flame appeared, not burning but warming, feathers of gold and crimson. It circled, sharing rebirth's gentle promise, renewing her spirit. Leaving the gazebo, the path led to a canyon of echoes, walls reflecting sounds in softer tones. Elara spoke a whisper, hearing it return as affirmation, building confidence in calm. The canyon opened to a plateau of wild grasses, swaying in breezes that carried sea salt, though far from ocean. Elara lay in the grass, feeling earth's cradle, stars wheeling above. Wolves howled distantly, not threatening but harmonious, a pack's lullaby. One approached, fur soft, lying beside her in guardianship. Rising, she followed to a grove of cherry blossoms, petals falling eternally, pink snow. Elara caught them, each a memory of beauty. The grove held a pond of koi, fish gliding in patterns of zen. Watching them, Elara found meditation effortless, mind still as the water. Beyond, a hill of thyme released aroma underfoot, healing scents. At the top, a view of dawn's hint, but night lingered lovingly. Descending to a veil of ferns, unfurling like welcomes. In the veil, a spring of milk-warm water bubbled, inviting soak. Elara immersed hands, feeling restoration, skin softening, soul mending. The fern veil deepened into a forest of maples, leaves turning eternal autumn, crunching softly underfoot, colors warm and inviting. Elara wandered, collecting leaves, each vein a story of season's grace. The maples shed gently, a rain of gold and red, blanketing the path in comfort. A clearing revealed a carousel of vines, seats carved from wood, turning slowly by magic. Elara sat, feeling the gentle spin, world blurring softly, centering her in peace. Music from unseen harps played, strings plucked by wind, melodies soothing. The tune carried her to imagined realms of rest. Fairies of light fluttered, tiny beings of glow, dancing around, sprinkling dust that eased weariness. As the carousel slowed, Elara stepped off, path leading to a bridge over a chasm of mist, rails of silk. Crossing, she felt suspension in time, mist cooling. On the other side, a garden of herbs, sage, lavender, scents blending in harmony. Elara breathed deeply, each inhale a balm. Bees hummed lazily, pollen dusted, sharing honeycombs sweet and golden. Tasting, Elara felt vitality gentle. The garden bordered a lake of glass, swans reflecting perfectly. Elara sat shoreside, toes in water, ripples minimal. Dolphins of air leaped, ethereal, splashing light. Their play invited smiles, lightening heart. Path from lake to mountain base, soft ascent. At summit, panorama of woods, heart full. Descending to cave of gems, walls sparkling subtly. Inside, echoes of peace, crystals singing low. Elara rested, gems energy aligning chakras, balance achieved. Emerging, night waning, but peace eternal. The gem cave's light guided Elara back through familiar paths, each step a return laced with newfound depth, the woods now a part of her, its magic woven into her being. She passed the maples again, leaves whispering farewells that felt like promises of return. The air grew lighter, dawn's whisper on the horizon, but the night held on, cradling her in its final embraces. Reaching the elder grove, the trees bowed slightly, berries riper, offering one last taste of sweetness. Elara thanked them silently, feeling their wisdom settle in her soul,
a quiet strength for days ahead. The sacred circle stones glowed farewell, the rosebush blooming one extra petal for her to carry, its scent lingering on her skin. Butterflies escorted her briefly, wings brushing goodbye. The river delta's islands waved with orchids, swans dipping heads in salute. Elara crossed back, feather in hand, a token of grace. The heather field bloomed brighter, petals clinging as souvenirs. The labyrinth's hedges parted easily, gazebo's nightingales singing a closing verse. The poppy field's blooms opened slightly, anticipating day, but Elara felt their nighttime magic endure within. The lake's swans glided one last circle, fog lifting to reveal clear paths home. The bridge of vines swayed gently, carrying her across with care. The crystal plateau's deer nodded, eyes knowing as Elara passed, their presence a final companionship. The misty valley's spring bubbled a soft goodbye, doves cooing from branches. The whispering willows swayed in rhythm, leaves trailing her arms one more time, pond reflecting her serene face. Finally, the village edge appeared, cottage lights warm, garden waiting. Elara stepped out, but carried the wood's peace, an eternal lullaby in her heart. As she entered her home, the door closing softly, she knew rest awaited, deep and dream-filled, the story's end a beginning of tranquil nights.